And it's got the great seal of the House of Representatives, and it lists, so this is the 115th Congress. Starting in January will be the 116th Congress. On the back of it is etched a number. That is the number of seniority I am in the U.S. House of Representatives. It also indicates, like, if, God forbid, if the president is not able to be president, dies or is incapacitated, who becomes president? Do you know?
Vice president.
Vice president. Okay, if the vice president and president both cannot, do you know who's next?
You.
Speaker of the House. And that goes back to why it goes to the legislative branch next. So Speaker of the House is next in line. And so everybody's got a number, and that's our seniority, but it also would be what would happen if everybody ahead of you died, or there was a war or something. So this is the seniority system for who would also become president in that line, which is kind of a little weird thing to think about. So this number is 274 out of 435, but it's actually significantly lower than that now. It's probably around 260 because a bunch of people have left since I got elected. Now, when I'm in Washington, when I'm home, I wear a flag pin to show that I represent the United States of America. But when I'm in Washington, I wear this pin. Now, when I'm wearing this pin, I'm allowed to go through security. But I will tell you the thing. The police are supposed to know what every member of Congress looks like. There's only one other person in the United States Congress, of 435, who has red curly hair. His name is Joe Kennedy III. Joe's about 6'1". Joe's slim, he's young, he's a guy, and he's a Kennedy. But they ask me to show my pin when I'm trying to go through the barriers, their barriers, security barriers. They're like, I'll have to point at my pin. I've been there for 6 years. They should know who I am by now. And frankly, most of the guys look the same. They're like white and balding and in their late 50s and 60s. But my son, I tell you, true story, this past summer, and I had a new young woman who was driving me, and I was telling her these stories about how I can't believe it, like 5.5 years in Congress, I'm still having to show my pin, this is ridiculous. And the next day she picks me up and we're driving up to the Capitol for votes, and I'm having to yes, lower the barriers, member of Congress, voting, let me in. And she's like, I don't even know if I can tell you this, but yesterday when your son Thomas, age 26, you have to be 25 years old to run for Congress. Well, when Thomas was in the car with me yesterday and we were coming up to pick you up after votes, they waved him right through.
Oh no.
Yes. When Connor, you know Connor, Connor is from Connecticut, he's from the Danbury area. When Connor, who is not yet 25, Connor is driving through, Connor got waved through last week, and I am having to show my pin. I am just saying, ladies, we need a lot more women in Congress. Because any guy who's 25 years old gets waved through because the assumption is a white male of any age must be a member of Congress and is not a woman. That's why you need to all run. Or make sure other women get elected, because that is terrible. Yes. It's shocking and terrible. And in fact, it is easier for me on the Senate side, and there are higher percentage of senators who are women. So I have less of a problem on the Senate side than I do on the House side, which is a weird thing, but I think it's because the percentage is higher. And numbers matter. Yes?
Have you ever forgotten your pin?
No, but I do know people, and actually I didn't follow the advice. A friend gave me advice, which I didn't do, and I think because he's a Purple Heart Award recipient and a Vietnam vet, he's never worn his pin, and he just made them learn who he was. I was not quite willing to do that, because they can make you show. But this is the pin, and I was also going to show you the card. There's also this, my congressional wallet, and this is the voting card. On the back is the seal of the United States, of the House of Representatives. And on the front is a lot of holographic stuff. And to vote, you stick your card into a slot and then you have to press one of 3 buttons. The green button is for what?
Go.
Yes. Or, as they say, because it's Old English, I. It's actually written, they'll ask for the ayes and the nays. So it's A-Y-E. So the green button, if you press it, is A-Y-E. The red button is, anyone know what the opposite of I?
Nay.
Nay, exactly. And it says nay. It actually
nay.
It's written on the little Machine, nay. And then there's P for present, and you should just never do that. It's yellow. And it's like, if you can't make up your mind, you shouldn't be in Congress. I'm sorry. You should never be voting present. Except we do present once, and at the very beginning of Congress, you vote present to make sure your card works.
Oh.
And just start.
And is that the only time you've used present? Is that the only time?
I think once I did as a protest. Occasionally it's used if there's like a difficult thing that nobody, that's like the yes is terrible and the no is terrible, and really both are so terrible you don't feel that in good conscience. And I maybe have done that once or twice, but I really don't like to do that. Yes.
In that photo on the screen,
Yes.
are you wearing your pin?
I was wearing a flag pin for that. So
Yeah.
that one has a flag pin, but I usually am wearing this. I'm usually wearing my congressional pin.
And so, why don't you wear both pins?
Because it's kind of too much. This already has a flag on it. I mean, the congressional one already has flag. And here's an interesting fact to know about we have bald eagles, the symbol of our country, right? Does anyone know what Benjamin Franklin wanted our symbol to be?
Ooh.
The turkey, exactly. Which are everywhere on Connecticut roads in the fall. Like, you're driving along, and I can't believe we've never hit a turkey, because we run into them, not run into them, but see them all the time. There's an interesting thing about the symbol of the United States, and it's true for the House and the Senate, and the White House all have the bald eagle. Does anyone know? The bald eagle is holding something in the right talons and the left hand talons. Anybody know what's being held?
Bill of Rights?
Nope.
A flag?
Nope. Okay. In the right-hand side, I actually have to now look at one. All right, now I'm going to have to look at my card and remember I'm turning to the eagle's right. If you turn to the eagle's right, you have olive branches, and you have 13 leaves. Why are there 13? 13 colonies. On the left, you have arrows. Why? How many do you think there are of the arrows?
13.
13. Which way is the head of the eagle facing?
Towards the, to the right.
Towards which, arrows or olive branches? What do you think?
The arrows.
Nope. Olive branches. The U.S. is a peaceful country. Peace and strength. However, fun fact, when in the Oval Office, there's a big seal with the seal of the President of the United States in the middle. And if you've ever seen pictures or movies or anything else, you'll see there's this big seal of the eagle in the middle of the Oval Office. When the United States is officially at war, they switch out the middle of the seal, and the head of the eagle switches from the right towards the olive branches, to the left towards the arrows. Which is however, I will also say this: the United States Congress has not officially voted to declare war for 50 years, so that has not happened in a long time. But that's a whole other issue about whether Congress is doing its job.
Yes.
As the only branch that is supposed to be declaring war, not the presidency.
Congresswoman Esty, I know you only have a couple more minutes, or Sherry's going to start to get a little
she's doing that,
antsy with me. Yeah. So what's the takeaway for the girls here? What do you want them to know? What's your takeaway message for them today?
Democracy is a great and amazing thing, but it requires us as citizens to do our part. That means you have to register and vote. That means you need to be informed. And that means you need to run for office and don't wait around for somebody else to do it. There's a wonderful story from a group. I did training to run for office. My daughter and I did women's campaign school at Yale. She was 15 years old, and I was running for local office the first time. And I remember this story of a woman saying, you know what, 25-year-old guys wake up in the morning and are shaving and go, darn, you're so handsome, you should be in Congress. And like the average woman who runs for office is in her 40s, juggling soccer games and cooking and a job, and is saying, this problem needs to be fixed, this problem needs to be fixed. No one is fixing, I guess I will have to fix it. There are a lot of things that need fixing in the world. There are things you care about, and democracy empowers you to do that. A couple of other things to remember. You don't run for office because you think you're going to win. You run for office because there are things worth fighting for. And if there's nothing you're willing to lose an election over, you should not run. because American democracy requires that we care enough about things to be willing to lose. And I've lost an election based on a vote. And I don't regret that vote. I wish I'd persuaded more people. Instead of debate and persuasion, I was not persuasive enough in that election. I'm a lifelong opponent of the death penalty, and that cost me my seat. But I don't regret the vote. I don't regret the vote. And you have to be willing to do the job that's in front of you. And sometimes the job in front of you is hard. But that's true in politics or anything else. You'll have to make decisions that may be uncomfortable. Your friends may not support. You may get criticized for. But you should do your homework and then do what you think the right thing is. And when you make mistakes, try again the next day. And you'll make mistakes, and it happens. And it's okay. It's okay to make mistakes, but it's not okay not to try. You need to try.
Well, and you saw all those hands shoot up for all the girls that are gonna try. They all
So
have, all of them probably
Try.
even have some ideas about what they're gonna campaign for.
Exactly,
So,
and even if you
thank
don't run, you can help other people run too. So, thank you all so much.
Thank you. We
Liz.
have a gift for you, which I'm gonna run and get.
I think I can turn that off.
We're really
Pardon? There's water in the cups.
And
No, it's not coffee, it's water.
so this is our MPU swag bag.
Yes,
So
my bags are really important. That's why I said product placement. Here.
yes, and beach ball in case you have a chance to have fun.
This is
Sherry,
good.
we thank you for coming too. So one
Thank
for
you.
you as
This is
well for
rich.
coming. We know that you keep everything running, and we thank you for keeping Congressman Esty here today. All right, Liberty, thank you very much.
Wendy, sir?
Okay, great. Thank you both. Thanks so much.
Okay, so can you hear me? So 5 times something we use to get Stop talking. So we're going to finish up the debates right now. Unfortunately, Tara had to leave, but I'll still be floating around. You guys can pick up where you left off. Also, shameless promotion. If you are at East Ridge or Scottish, they both have debate teams that you can join. So something to keep in mind. And
Are we gonna be like debating or debating?